The NBA draft lottery is tomorrow. And each and every year, Bill Simmons ranks the teams in the lottery and their karma when it comes to who should get the top pick. Obviously, this year, Washington, Indiana, and Brooklyn all lead the way with 14% lottery odds. And then very next tier is Utah and Sacramento at 11.5%, followed by Memphis at 9%. So those are the teams at the top of the draft lottery. But Bill Simmons likes to do a fun exercise of like what teams he believes should have the number one pick just based off of karma. And his rankings this year include the number one overall pick going to the Pacers just due to the Tyrese Halliburton injury that they had to endure. Obviously, they were so close to winning an NBA Finals last year, and then Tyrese Halliburton just goes down with injury and is out for this entire year. And the Pacers were a shell of themselves throughout it. He then has the Wizards at number 2, the Bulls at number 3, the Hawks at 4, and the Jazz at 5. Cordell, when it comes to your NBA draft lottery based solely on karma, would you change anything about what Bill Simmons has here?
I mean, overall, it's tough to really argue it. The Pacers, like you said, getting so close last year, making it all the way to Game 7, pushing that Thunder team to the brink. And then Halliburton just getting hurt. And it just seems like it's just been one thing after another with him. He's got the shingles and everything. Like he's really going through it. So I can lean with that. Now, I am here in Baltimore. I am from DC. Not a Wizards fan, though. I got out of that business long, long, long ago, thankfully. But and this is going to shock some of the people out here that know me. But honestly, I can make a case for the Wizards being the team that probably deserves the number one pick the most. A lot of Wizards fans feel like they got hosed last year, and with the draft lottery, and they should have Cooper Flag in DC. That's how they feel like, but they feel like the NBA has basically rigged the lottery for years to spite the Wizards, and the Wizards, no matter how bad they've been consistently, no matter how high their odds are, something happens to where a team or two always ends up jumping them in the lottery. So if not the Pacers, I probably could probably make the best case for the Wizards as the team that I guess is the most deserving.
I like the Pacers at 1. I like the fact that I really enjoyed watching their run last year and seeing kind of a new beast in the East arise, or at least that's what it seemed like. And then Halliburton goes down, and they were just completely obliterated off the map this season. But and that is, Indiana is such a great basketball state. And I always like when the Pacers, even back to the Paul George years, the Jermaine O'Neal years, the Reggie Miller years. Like I like when Indiana is good. And maybe that's just the Midwestern guy in me at heart, but I'm going to show a lot of homerism here. If I was the NBA, if I was Adam Silver, and I was ever thinking about throwing in a frozen envelope, if ever rigging the system, I would rig it to the point where we could hear more of the Alan Parsons Project heard in the playoffs. I would give it to the Chicago Bulls, because that is a franchise that has been so poorly run for 20 years. Aside from a nice little spring budding of a rose in the now number 1 retired Derrick Rose for the Bulls, that franchise has done nothing, and it's been so poorly run. The very least you could do is throw them a cookie and throw them a bone and give them that number 1 pick. I would love, because Chicago to me is one of those franchises that are like the Knicks, that are like Notre Dame in college football, that are like, I'll even say the Yankees in baseball. The sport is better when they are good. It is like, and that is just how I feel. I feel that about the Chicago Bulls. Like, I just think that if you could find a way to resurge the fan base in Chicago, that would ignite a lot of things. Obviously, the rivalries that Chicago has with Milwaukee and with Indiana and with all of the other teams that just surround it, it would just make basketball better as a whole. Now, look, the Bulls are not winning it. They have a 4.5% chance to win the number 1 overall pick in the draft lottery, and nothing good has ever gone the Bulls' way since the Last Dance in 1998. Right? Just ask Derrick Rose's knee. I just wish that the Chicago Bulls, like, if there was some way to rig the system, Adam Silver, that you could rig it towards Chicago, because I think it would be better for basketball.
Yeah, it could be reviving the Bulls. I'm not necessarily like Chicago, and Chicago's had their chances, and it just seems like players go there and don't blossom, and then you get a guy like Kobe White who finally
Yes.
blossoms, and they ship him
Yes. And Ayo.
out.
Yeah.
So
Ayo DeSumo, too. Like, it's like the
yeah,
homegrown
yeah,
kid from Chicago. Like, he comes into the
Laurie
league, and you're like,
Markkinen.
okay, this guy could be great. And then sure enough, he's not great until he goes to the Timberwolves. And you're like, oh,
It's
geez.
it's crazy. So they've had their chances, but that's the thing. And I bring up the Wizards too. They've had these chances with some of these top picks, and it doesn't end up going very far. Now, Wizards fans will say, they had a great heyday with John Wall and Bradley
Yep.
Beal and those guys. To a degree, I can buy that. But now that I'm thinking a little more, I wouldn't hate if we're talking about like deserving. I think about teams that don't have a winning roster, but still competed, still fought, still maximized what they had. How about the Hawks? How about the Hawks,
Yeah.
who were a team that really should have just been left to die after they move on from Trae Young and those guys, and that young core just really kind of gelled together and became a little bit of a problem on the back end of the season, into the play-in and into the playoffs. But that Hawks team intrigues me to a degree. Now, if would they be able to kind of build on what they did this year if they were to get, and look, honestly, if you're picking in the top 4 to 5 in this draft, you should be able to get something really, really good. I think this draft is really good at the top. So if you get one of those guys in there to go in Atlanta, I don't know, man. I think that could be a case where you're similar to like what you're seeing with the Spurs. Not saying they'll be as good as the Spurs, but similar to how you see Dylan Harper, who was one of the best players in college basketball, coming out. And then he comes in and immediately he's a key contributor on a legit playoff team. That could be the case in Atlanta.